Hello, I'm Scott Bacon with the Education Foundation for Clinton City and Anderson County Schools, and we want to take just a few minutes to share about a new fundraising initiative we've got going that ties in, of all things, the Boston Marathon this spring in April. Glad to be joined by a former educator here in Anderson County, Mr. John Bird, who is our runner that's going to be participating in the Boston Marathon. John, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Thanks for being here with us.
Yeah.
I referenced that you're a former educator. Talk to us a little bit about where you taught, how many years, and what subjects, and that type of thing.
Well, I spent 19 years over at Clinton Middle School back when it was junior high school. So we had 7th, 8th, and 9th grade at that time. And I guess I spent my first 10 years having students teach me how to teach. And so I got a little better at it as time went on. And when it changed over to a middle school, I headed to the high school, wanted to try something a little different. And that I stayed there for 11 years and taught biology there. And then after I retired, after 30 years, spent another 9 or 10 years going to elementary schools teaching science there.
Wow.
Now, that was a true learning experience. I just thought I knew something, but they showed me real quick that I didn't know too much. But it was an enjoyable experience, and I still go into elementary schools occasionally and do lessons with students, and that's a lot of fun. So.
You're one of the few educators I've ever spoken with that's been brave enough to hit K through 12 throughout your life.
I even walked in a preschool class a couple of times.
Oh, wow.
And tried to learn to communicate, or they tried to understand what I was saying, which wasn't over their heads for sure.
There you go. Well, we'll talk just a second about the event coming up, but I quickly want to say thank you for those years of service to our young people here in this community, but also to let you know that as I've shared this pending initiative we've got going with you, just how positive people have been about the influence you've been on young people. So thank you for all those years of service, and now we're looking forward to working with you on a new little plan coming down the pipe.
I can tell you the young people have had a lot more positive impact on me than I've had on them, I can assure you.
Yeah, they will do that for you, that's for sure. Well, now, you certainly, beyond your passion for education, have a passion for running.
Well, I do enjoy running, and part of my goal with all this is to promote exercise, and exercise combined with getting outside. Now, those are two fine ingredients, and when you mix them together, I think you come up with a pill that would be the best pharmaceutical ever sold. Mm-hmm. If you could find a pill that did everything for you that exercise and being outside did, that would have high value.
No question. No question. So you participated in the Clinton 5K, and you've got a Clinton 5K shirt on, which is one of our main events for the Education Foundation annually, and raises money for health and wellness, which is exactly what you were just talking about. So we're thrilled that you have been participating in that.
Yeah, the foundation sponsors this, and I'm surprised at the number of people that turn out. I hope it gets bigger and bigger. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, we do too.
But I noticed on the foundation website there's a category known as health and wellness, and so teachers are able to apply for grants when they come up with projects that promote health and wellness. And so my take on public education is that health and wellness, art and music, unstructured play, those things are every bit and probably a whole lot more important than math and science and English. Sorry, but that's the way I feel about it.
As a former science teacher, you can get away with saying things like that.
No, I just hate to see us put more value on one subject versus another. And if you don't feel good, you really don't really care whether you're doing great in math and science. So being healthy is, I used to, and I admit it, I preached a lot to my students about being healthy, and because if you don't feel good, you can't help other people, you can't help yourself, and you don't really feel too much like doing some of the academic work. So developing those lifelong habits of exercise, getting outside. We know that there are things that forced environments do for us now that make us feel better, lower our stress levels, lower our high blood pressure. You know, we're spending $50 billion a year on treating high blood pressure in this country. And so there are things we can do behavior-wise to lessen that stress, lessen that anxiety, pull down that blood pressure. So, I'm not saying that you have to go out and be a runner. I'm just saying that getting outside and walking and hiking, roller skating, doing whatever pickleball, it doesn't really matter.
Get active.
Yeah, running's not for everybody, and I don't want it to come across that way. Just want you to get out and enjoy being outside, and maybe get away from the screens a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you from a education foundation standpoint, we're real pleased that the health and wellness side of things this year gave away a little over $12,000 in grants to 15 educators. And then on the other side, on the academic support side, we're continuing to do instructional support grants there and have done, I guess, now probably over $10,000 worth on that realm. So we're touching all parts of the whole child here as we're trying to impact young people as much as we can. We're appreciative that you're going to take health and wellness and run in Boston Marathon to make that happen. Tell us about Boston and what your plans are there.
Well, let me tell you how I got there. Back in 1980, I ran what's known as the Oak Ridge Atomic City Marathon. And even back then in 1980, you had to qualify. And I was 33, and anybody under 40 had to run 2 hours and 50 minutes or less. Okay, so I was able to qualify, and just before the marathon, I got a stress fracture.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't go. Well, what motivated me to run that marathon in the first place was I spent, back in my late 20s, I think it was 28, I spent a month in the hospital with a strange disease known as cat scratch fever. And when I got out, I got so excited the first day I could walk down to the mailbox and back. I said, I think I'll run a marathon. So a few years later, I did that, and it was a snowy day, and it was something that I really enjoyed. And but once I got that stress fracture, I just sort of quit running and went back to playing rec league basketball and pickup basketball. And so I quit running for 36 years. I mean, I didn't totally quit, but I did very little of it. And then at age 69, I decided that playing ball on the hardwood was going to get me hurt if I wasn't careful. So I decided to go back to running. Now, I don't know if running lessens your possibility of being injured, especially on trails, because I enjoy running trails. But what happened was that I joined, there was 3 intersecting events. I got a coach, and I started running in the Tennessee Senior Games and made it to the National Senior Games in New Mexico in 2019. That was humbling, to say the least. And some of the folks in my little tribe, running tribe, said, John, you ought to reconsider this Boston Marathon thing, because I had just pretty much put it out of my mind. I hadn't totally forgotten about it. It was always in the back of my mind. But so decided that, well, maybe I better start training. And I told my coach in late 2019 that, or in the fall of 2019, that let's do this Boston thing. And so we started up in the mileage. I had about a 25 to 30 mile base at that time. And so we started up in the mileage, and I got around up to about 35 miles a week at that point. And then just before I was to run the marathon to qualify for Boston, which is the Glass City Marathon in Toledo, Ohio, COVID struck, and they canceled both the Boston and they canceled the Glass City Marathon. So at that point, I'd only run two really long runs, 18 miles each. And so you really need to get up into that 20-mile category 2 or 3 times before you run a marathon. And so I backed down and waited. And in 2020, started started back up again in fall 2020. And then, long story short, on April 25th, 2021, gun sounded, and about 1,100 of us took off to see if we could mentally and physically hold together for 26 miles plus. And there was 8 folks in my age category, 70 to 74. And all 8 of us finished. 4 of us qualified for Boston.
Wow.
Which was really pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's kind of how I got here. And I'll be running Boston April 18th. And we'll see how it goes.
Well, that's an incredible story to think that you picked that goal and vision back up at 69 when most people are saying, I'm dialing it back. So good for you that you've chosen to go down this path. And good for the young people in Anderson County and Clinton, because there's going to be some economic benefit to our schools through your run in Boston. Let's talk about that just a little.
Yeah, I'm hoping people will pay big money knowing that I'm going to suffer. So, you know, the suffering really starts too about mile 15 or 16 in Boston, so because you start picking up some hills at about mile 16. I think Heartbreak Hill hits about mile 21. So hopefully folks will support the foundation. I think it's a really worthy cause, and I'm just tickled that I can do it.
Well, we're tickled you can too. And basically the dollars that we raise through this initiative with John are all going to health and wellness, just as he described earlier with the Clinton 5K. And so we're going to have, you may see this flyer in various locations around town. And also what we want to do is drive folks to our website, theeducationfoundation.info, where you can find information, including this piece and others. You can always go on there and donate now, and it drop-down menu, it'll have that on there for John, where you can support him there. You can do so much a mile or a flat rate or whatever you want to do, quite frankly, to be able to support this effort. But we're all cheering you on as you make this effort to not only reach your goal, but help us reach ours too.
Let's see if we can raise a little money for this foundation. It's a really great cause.
Well, it certainly is, and we're so thankful for you for making this effort on our behalf. And you've done this in the past with Boys and Girls Club and had some success, so we're hoping to equal that or more as we get into this.
Well, thanks.
Well, John, thank you so much. And folks, you can always reach us. If you have a message for us, you can go through, again, theeducationfoundation.info and leave a message for us there, and we can get back in touch with you if there's something special you want to do in this regard with John or something else to help the young people of Anderson County and Clinton City schools. Thanks for being with us.